The alien arena roared with loud cheers and laughter. Thousands of aliens sat on metal seats, shouting, drinking, and placing bets. The air smelled of sweat, fear, and blood. The sky above was covered with dark gray clouds, and the arena lights flickered with a strange yellow glow. In the center of the arena stood a young human girl named Lena. She looked small, very small compared to the tall, strong aliens around her. Her brown hair was messy, her face pale, and her clothes were torn and dirty. The announcer, a big green-skinned alien with 4 arms, shouted through the speakers, "Welcome to the fight of the day," he screamed. "We bring you the weak human girl, ha ha ha." The crowd laughed. "Let's see how fast she cries for mercy," another alien shouted from the stands. On the other side of the arena stood Krax, the Warlord's son. He was nearly 7 feet tall. His skin was dark blue. His muscles were huge. His eyes glowed red, and sharp teeth showed from his smile. Krax lifted a giant metal club and pointed it towards Lena. "I will break you," he said, loud enough for the whole arena to hear. "You humans are soft, weak, pathetic." Lena stood still. She didn't speak. She only looked at him with cold, sharp eyes. Krax laughed and walked forward, hitting the ground with his club, making dust rise. "Maybe I'll break both your arms before I kill you," he joked. The crowd laughed again. Behind the arena walls, other human prisoners watched from iron cages. They were scared for Lena. Some closed their eyes, unable to watch. Others whispered prayers. They had seen many humans die in this arena before. No human had ever won. The horn sounded. The fight began. Krax rushed towards Lena like a charging bull. His big feet made the ground shake. His club swung fast and heavy. Lena didn't move until the last second. She jumped to the side, fast as lightning. The club missed her by inches and crashed into the ground, breaking the stone floor. Krax growled and turned quickly. Swinging again, Lena ducked, rolled, and stood behind him in one smooth motion. Her movements were fast, too fast. The crowd gasped. For a second, Krax looked confused, then angry. "You can run, but you can't hide," he shouted. Krax lifted the club high for a powerful overhead strike. Lena's eyes narrowed. This was her moment. Before the club could fall, Lena rushed in close to him. She grabbed Krax's wrist with both hands, twisted hard, and jumped. Using all her body weight, she flipped herself in the air, pulling his arm with brutal force. Crack! The loud sound of breaking bone echoed across the arena. Krax screamed in pain and dropped the club. The crowd went silent. It was as if time stopped. Mighty Warlord's son, the strongest fighter, stood there with his right arm hanging useless, broken at the elbow. Lena stood in front of him, breathing hard, her eyes still cold. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate that. She only waited for his next move. Krax looked at her with wide eyes. His pride shattered. His arm shattered. Then something worse happened. Fear appeared on his face. Real fear. He stepped back, holding his broken arm, shaking his head. "No, this is impossible, double quotes. The alien crowd didn't cheer. They didn't laugh. They only whispered. Some aliens looked at each other. How did she do that? She's just a human, No human moves like that. The Warlord, sitting high, in the VIP box, stood up in rage. His red cloak blew in the wind. His face darkened. He shouted down at his son, "Fight her, kill her." But Krax didn't move. His legs were shaking. Lena took a step forward. Krax panicked and turned to run. He ran, the son of the Warlord, running from a small human girl, back inside the human cages. The prisoners couldn't believe their eyes. Some started cheering loudly. "Did you see that? She broke his arm. She's like a demon." Even the guards near the cages stepped back, looking nervous. This had never happened before. Humans were supposed to die quickly. Humans were supposed to beg for mercy. But this was something new. A new kind of fear was growing. Not in the humans, but inside the aliens. In the medical chamber, Krax screamed as alien doctors tried to fix his broken arm. The Warlord entered the room with burning anger. "You have brought shame to our family," the Warlord growled, cried in pain, unable to answer. The Warlord turned to his commanders. "Send 2 of our best arena fighters. I want that human girl broken by tomorrow." The commanders nodded. But deep inside, even they were worried. If one small human girl could do this, what if more humans started fighting back? What if they were not as weak as everyone thought? Back in her cell, Lena sat alone. Her knuckles were bleeding, her arms were bruised, but her face was calm. She looked at the wall and whispered to herself, "They think we're weak. Let them think that." Her eyes burned with silent fire. tomorrow, ... She knew more would come, and she would break them too. The arena was still silent. The next morning, the stands where aliens usually laughed, drank, and placed bets, now felt cold. Empty cups lay on the ground, half-eaten food sat untouched. The story of Lena had already spread across the city. Aliens in marketplaces whispered about the human girl who broke the Warlord's son's arm. Soldiers guarding the streets talked about her speed, her deadly moves, her cold stare. Some aliens laughed nervously, saying it was just luck. Others weren't so sure. Even inside the military bases, commanders spoke in low voices. If one human can do that, what happens if the others rise too? Inside the Warlord's chambers, anger filled the air. The Warlord stood in front of a large screen, watching the replay of yesterday's fight over and over. Every time Lena twisted cracks arm, every time the bone cracked, the Warlord's fists tightened. She's just a human, he growled. His commanders stood silently, afraid to speak. Finally, the Warlord gave an order. Send in our best arena fighters, he said. No more jokes, no more games. I want that girl broken ... in front of everyone. That afternoon the arena filled again. But this time, the mood was different. The alien audience didn't shout as loud. Some looked nervous, others watched the arena gate, waiting for Lena to appear from the cages. Other human prisoners stood close to the bars, trying to see . Lena walked into the arena, her head held high. Her face had new bruises, but her eyes still burned with fire. The announcer's voice cracked as he spoke. Double quotes today. ... The human girl will face not one, but two elite fighters. The crowd gave a weak cheer. From the opposite gate, two tall alien fighters entered. One was a massive reptilian warrior, with black scales and sharp claws. The other was a four-armed fighter with thick armor and heavy blades. Both were champions of the arena. Both had killed many before. The fight began. The reptilian charged first, swinging its tail. Lena ducked under it, moving fast like before. The four-armed fighter came next, all blades swinging. Lena rolled sideways, dust flying around her. The crowd gasped as she jumped, twisted, and landed behind the reptilian. In one fast move, she smashed her elbow into the back of its neck. Crack! The reptilian fell, not moving. The four-armed fighter didn't pause. He rushed her with all four blades. Lena grabbed a broken metal rod from the ground and blocked the first two strikes. The third blade sliced her shoulder, but she didn't stop. She spun low, sweeping his legs. The alien fell hard. Before he could rise, Lena grabbed one of his arms and twisted it backward. The alien screamed. The crowd froze again. Two elite fighters, both down, within minutes. From the human cages, loud cheers erupted. Lena, 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 they shouted. The guards standing near the cages stepped back, holding their weapons tighter. Some even called for backup. Inside the control room, the Warlord punched the table. Enough, he shouted. His face turned purple with rage. This ends now. Later that night, in the prison quarters, Lena sat alone in her dark cell. But this time, she wasn't fully alone. Whispers started coming from nearby cages. A human boy in the next cell leaned closer to the bars. You gave us hope, he said in a low voice. For the first time we believe we can fight back. Lena didn't answer. She looked at the cuts on her arms, the bruises on her legs. But deep inside, a small smile appeared on her face. They were scared of her now, and tomorrow, she knew, they would send more. Maybe stronger fighters, maybe something worse. But she would be ready. Across the alien city, soldiers were given new orders. Humans are to be watched closely, the announcement said. Any human showing signs of aggression, kill them immediately. But deep inside their minds, even the alien soldiers felt something new. Fear. If one small human girl could do this, what could happen if all humans decided to fight back? The next morning, the alien city was tense. Shops stayed closed. Streets stayed empty. Soldiers walked with heavier weapons. The air felt different, like a storm was coming. Inside the arena, thousands of aliens gathered again. But this time, they were quiet. No laughter, no jokes. They had seen too much. Lena had done the impossible, again and again, and now, the Warlord himself was going to fight her. It was no longer entertainment, it was personal. In her dark cell, Lena stood up, slowly. Her body hurt everywhere. Her left eye was swollen, her ribs burned with every breath. But her spirit, unbroken. From the next cell, called out, Lena, you don't have to do this. She turned, looking at him. Her voice was rough, but clear. Yes, I do. Other humans from nearby cages shouted too. Fight for us, Lena. End him. show. Then we're not weak. For the first time, the human prisoners weren't scared anymore. They were ready to fight too, if given the chance. The arena gates opened. Lena stepped into the sunlight. The crowd fell silent. On the other side of the arena stood the Warlord. He was massive, nearly 8 feet tall. His armor was black and red. His war axe glowed with strange energy. His eyes burned with hate. I will crush you with my own hands, he shouted. Lena didn't answer. Her hands tightened into fists. The horn sounded. The fight began. The Warlord charged fast for his size. Swinging the axe with deadly force, Lena dodged. But the wind from the swing knocked her to the ground. Dust rose. The crowd gasped. The Warlord stomped forward, bringing the axe down. Lena rolled to the side, barely escaping. The ground cracked where the axe landed. Lena jumped to her feet, attacking with fast punches, but his armor was too thick. Her fists bounced off his chest, like hitting stone. The Warlord laughed. You're weak, just like the others. Lena's eyes narrowed. She changed her tactic. She began circling him, moving fast, staying low, looking for weak spots on the prison blocks. The human prisoners were watching the fight on old screens. They cheered every time Lena landed a hit. They shouted her name again and again. And as they watched, something changed in them. Fear turned into anger. Anger turned into courage. A small group of humans inside the cages started planning. One man pulled a loose metal bar from his cage wall. Another picked up a broken chain. They started passing weapons from cell to cell. Whispers spread like fire. When the guards get distracted watching the fight, we make our move. Back in the arena, the Warlord grabbed Lena by the throat and lifted her off the ground. Her feet kicked, trying to breathe. The crowd screamed with excitement. The Warlord laughed, squeezing tighter. But Lena wasn't done. With her last bit of strength, she drove her knee into the Warlord's side. Again and again, hitting a soft gap in his armor. The Warlord stumbled. She dropped to the ground. Lena coughed, gasped for air, then jumped, landing a spinning elbow right into the side of his head. The Warlord's helmet cracked. For the first time, the Warlord's own blood hit the ground. The entire arena froze. No one could believe it. The human girl had drawn blood from the Warlord at that exact moment in the prison blocks. The humans attacked. With loud screams, they rushed the guards. Metal bars, chains, broken pipes, anything they could use became a weapon. Guards shouted in panic. Some fired their weapons, but the humans kept coming. For the first time in months, the prisoners were fighting back. Alien alarms filled the air. Emergency lights flashed red. In the arena, the Warlord stood shaking with rage. Blood dripped from his head. He rushed Lena like a bull. She dodged, climbed onto his back, wrapping her arm around his throat, trying to choke him. The Warlord stumbled, spinning wildly, trying to throw her off. He slammed backward into the arena wall, crushing her. Lena fell to the ground, coughing blood, but she got up, again bruised, broken, bleeding, but still standing. The human prisoners kept fighting in the blocks. Guards started running for help. The entire prison compound began to shake with noise, screams, and chaos. Up in the control tower, alien commanders shouted at each other. Prison blocks are under attack by the humans. Send backup. Lock down the sector. But it was too late. The human uprising had begun. Lena's fights had lit a fire across the entire prison, and it was spreading fast. The Warlord raised his axe for the final blow. Lena stood there, barely able to lift her hands, but her eyes still full of fire. Her final thought before the swing came. I did what I came to do. I showed them. We're not weak. The axe came down, a loud crash of metal and stone. And everything went dark. The dust was still settling in the arena. The ground where the Warlord's axe had landed was broken, cracked deep. But when the dust cleared, Lena was gone. The crowd stood silent. The Warlord looked around, breathing heavy. She escaped, he growled, his voice full of disbelief. His blood dripped from the side of his head. His armor was cracked at the shoulder. His pride wounded. Alien medics rushed toward him, but he pushed them away. No, he shouted. I want her caught alive. She dies by my hands. No one else's. His voice echoed across the arena, making every soldier in the city hear. The Warlord's humiliation was now public. He didn't care about the games anymore. He didn't care about the crowd. This was personal now. Inside the underground tunnels below the arena, 2 human prisoners, UN and another man named Marcus, dragged Lena's half-conscious body away from the main corridors. She was bleeding badly. Her breathing was weak. Her eyes barely opened. We need to stop the bleeding, Marcus said. We don't have time, UN answered, looking at the flashing red lights and hearing the sirens. The human prisoners had started a full Prison riot. Guards were fighting in every corridor. Alien commanders were screaming orders. Explosions rocked the walls as humans used stolen weapons for the first time. The Warlord stood inside the command center, his eyes locked on every screen. Prison blocks were burning. Guards were retreating. Humans were spreading through the lower levels like wildfire. "This is your fault," the Warlord shouted at his generals. "She started this." One small human girl turned our entire facility into chaos. His voice shook the room. He grabbed a communication device and shouted into it. "Deploy kill teams. I want her body dragged back here, covered in chains." In the tunnels, Lena's breathing slowed, her vision blurred. She saw flashes of faces, UN Marcus, other prisoners running and fighting. Her mind drifted back to Earth again. Flashback, a dark alley. Her younger self, bleeding, cold, alone. Her hands broken from a street fight, her stomach empty for days. But even then, she had stood back up. She had kept fighting because that's what survivors do. Lena opened her eyes. Her voice was weak, but full of fire. "Put me down." UN stopped. "You can't even stand, Lena." "Put me down," she repeated. With shaking legs, she stood up, leaning against the wall, her face pale, her lips cracked, but her eyes burning. "I'm not done yet." Suddenly, sirens blasted louder. Through the tunnel opening, a group of alien soldiers appeared. They wore heavy black armor, carrying plasma rifles. They were the Warlord's elite kill team. UN and Marcus grabbed stolen weapons, ready to fight. But before they could attack, Lena stepped forward. Her hands balled into fists. Her body shaking, barely able to move fast, but still ready to fight. The aliens opened fire. Lena ducked low, rolling forward. She grabbed one alien by the leg, twisted hard, and slammed him into the wall. UN shot another soldier. Marcus tackled the third. For a moment, the humans stood victorious again, but they knew more soldiers were coming. They needed to keep moving. Back in the control room, the Warlord stared at the monitors. Camera after camera showed chaos. Fires in the prison blocks, dead alien guards in the hallways. And worst of all, footage of Lena still alive, still fighting. His teeth clenched, his eyes burned with hate. He pointed to a map. "Seal all exits," he ordered. "Flood the tunnels with gas." The commanders hesitated. "That will kill many of our own troops." "My lord, I don't care," the Warlord screamed. "This is not about soldiers anymore. This is about me and her." Down in the tunnels, loud hissing sounds filled the air. A thick green gas began pouring from vents along the walls. UN coughed. Marcus covered his mouth. Lena pulled a torn cloth and wrapped it over her nose. "We have to get out now," she shouted. They ran. Smoke and gas filled the air behind them. Coughing, choking, barely able to breathe, but still moving forward. In the upper levels of the prison, more humans had taken control of weapons storage. They were arming themselves with alien guns, grenades, and armor. The human rebellion inside the prison was growing stronger by the hour. Word spread fast. Lena's still alive, and she's still fighting. For the Warlord, it was the greatest insult of his life. One small human girl, breaking his soldiers, breaking his prison, breaking his pride. He slammed his fist into the screen, shattering it, then turned to his guards. "Prepare my ship," he said. "I'm going into the tunnels myself." His commanders froze. "My lord, that's dangerous," I said. "Prepare my ship." The Warlord grabbed his war axe, and for the first time in years, he would go hunting. With one target. Lena. Deep underground, as Lena and the others kept running, she heard the distant roar of engines. The Warlord was coming, and Lena smiled through the blood on her lips. "Let him come," she whispered. "I've been waiting for this." The tunnel shook with every step of the Warlord's boots. His red cape flowed behind him. His war axe rested on his shoulder. Behind him, dozens of elite alien soldiers followed, wearing full combat armor. But this time, the Warlord wasn't interested in using soldiers. He had come for one reason. One target. Lena. One target. Lena. Inside the dark tunnels, Lena, UN, and Marcus moved as fast as they could. Lena's body was almost at its limit. Her legs shook with every step. Her shoulder burned with pain. Her side still bleeding, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Not now. Not after coming this far. Suddenly, the floor shook again. UN turned back and froze far behind them. He saw lights, and heard the roar of engines. The Warlord's hunting team was coming fast. Lena grabbed Aaron's arm. "We need high ground," she said. They climbed up broken stairs, moving toward an old maintenance platform above the tunnel floor. Lena stood at the edge, looking down at the coming soldiers. Her breathing was rough, her hands bloody, but her eyes burning with determination. Minutes later, the warlord entered the tunnel below. He looked up and saw her. There she was, standing above him, her small, broken human body, still refusing to fall. He pointed at her with his axe. "Stay there, human," he shouted. "I'm coming for you." The alien soldiers aimed their rifles. Lena didn't wait. She jumped. She landed right in the middle of the squad. Her body moved like a shadow. One alien reached for his gun. Too slow. Lena's elbow shattered his jaw. Another alien swung a blade. Lena ducked and drove her fist into his throat. Two more soldiers fired plasma shots. Lena rolled sideways, picking up a fallen plasma pistol and shooting both of them in the chest. The warlord growled in rage. He charged forward, pushing his own soldiers aside like toys. "Enough games," he shouted. Lena turned toward him. Her heart raced. Her hands shook, but she raised her fists. It was time. The warlord swung his axe with brutal force. Lena barely dodged, but the wind from the swing knocked her down. She rolled and jumped back to her feet. The warlord attacked again. His axe smashed into the wall, breaking stone like paper. Lena ran forward, aiming a punch at his side. Her fist hit, but his armor was too thick. He laughed and grabbed her by the arm. Throwing her across the tunnel, she crashed into metal pipes. Blood ran down her face, but she stood again. Her vision blurred, her legs weak, but she stood. UN and Marcus watched from behind cover. "Should we help her?" Marcus asked. UN shook his head. "If we go near, we'll only get in the way." They knew this fight was Lena's fight alone. The warlord charged again. This time, Lena didn't dodge. She stepped inside his swing range, too close for the axe. With all her strength, she drove her knee into his stomach. For a split second, he staggered. Lena grabbed the back of his helmet and drove his head down into her rising knee. Crack! The warlord roared in rage. He swung with his fist, hitting her hard across the face. Lena fell, sliding across the floor. Blood spilled from her mouth. Her body screamed in pain, but her mind stayed focused. The warlord lifted his axe high for the final blow. His voice filled the tunnel. "This is where you die, human." Lena looked up, breathing heavy, her last thought. One shot, one shot, right now. As the axe came down, she rolled to the side at the last second. The axe hit the floor, getting stuck for a brief moment in that tiny window. Lena pushed herself up, ran forward, jumped onto his back. She wrapped her arm around his neck, using every ounce of strength left in her broken body, squeezing tighter. Her other hand grabbed the wires near his helmet joint and yanked hard. The warlord stumbled backward. He slammed against the tunnel wall once, twice, but Lena didn't let go. Her vision turned dark. Her arms burned, her ribs screamed, but she didn't stop. The warlord's steps grew slower. His hands reached for her, but grew weak. His breathing became heavy, slower, finally. With one last choke, the warlord's body dropped to the floor. Dust rose. Silence followed. Lena lay on top of him, not moving. For a long second, no one spoke. Even the alien soldiers froze. They couldn't believe what they saw. The warlord, the ruler of this sector, defeated by a half-dead human girl. UN and Marcus rushed forward. Lena, wake up," UN shouted. Lena's eyes opened slightly, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "Did I get him?" UN smiled, holding back tears.
Yeah.
"You got him." All across the prison compound, alien screens started showing one single image. The warlord's body, lying still, with Lena's broken body on top of him, victorious. The human prisoners saw the image. Their cheers echoed through every hallway. The guards dropped their weapons. Some even ran away. The prison was lost, and the humans were rising. Lena closed her eyes. Her body broken, but her mission complete for now. The entire prison shook with noise. Sirens screamed. Alarms flashed red. Alien commanders shouted useless orders over the speakers, but nothing worked. The humans were rising from every cage, every hallway, every dark corner of the prison. Human prisoners flooded out. Some carried stolen plasma rifles, some swung broken pipes and metal bars, some had only fists, but all had the same fire in their hearts, the fire that Lena had started. Inside the main tunnel, Lena lay on the ground, barely conscious, her body broken, her breathing slow, but alive. UN and Marcus held her in their arms, trying to stop the bleeding. More humans arrived. Some brought stolen medkits, others stood guard, watching for enemy soldiers. One man holding a stolen radio shouted, "Alien forces are retreating. The warlord is dead. We're taking this place." Cheers erupted. Lena opened her eyes for a moment. Through blurry vision, she saw humans with weapons, humans helping each other, humans fighting, and winning. Her lips moved, barely a whisper. We did it. Up in the alien control room, Chaos commanders argued, pushing each other. Some tried to contact nearby fleets for backup, but human prisoners had already destroyed the main communication systems. One alien commander grabbed a small escape shuttle key. Forget this place, he shouted. We have to leave. The aliens ran. Some ships took off without orders, others crashed on the prison walls during panic. The entire alien garrison was falling apart. In the prison courtyard, hundreds of human prisoners gathered. Men, women, young, old, all stood together. Some held alien weapons high in the air. Some dragged captured alien guards. Some tore down alien flags and burned them. For the first time in months, the humans were free. UN stood on top of a supply crate, shouting loud enough for everyone to hear, "We are taking control of this place." Cheers followed. "We will get to the hangars, steal their ships, and get off this planet." Even louder cheers. Humans started moving toward the landing bays, breaking every door, defeating any aliens still trying to fight. Inside the medbay, Lena lay on a table. A human woman with basic medical training worked fast to stop her bleeding, stood next to her, holding her hand. "You're going to make it," he said. Lena gave a weak smile. "Help the others first," she whispered. Eren nodded. "You already helped us all," he said softly. Hours passed. The human prisoners reached the hangars. They found small alien shuttles, some barely working but good enough to fly. The first wave of humans boarded quickly. UN Marcus and a small team carried Lena onto one of the ships. As the engine started, UN looked out the window. He saw the prison burning. Smoke rising into the sky. Alien bodies and broken machines everywhere, and humans, hundreds of them, waving, cheering, celebrating. As the ships lifted off, leaving the planet's surface, Lena opened her eyes again. She saw stars above for the first time in months. Her voice was weak, but full of pride. "Where to next?" she asked. Eren smiled. "Wherever we want." The humans laughed and cheered inside the ship. For the first time, they were free. They had beaten the Warlord. They had escaped the death prison. They had shown the galaxy humans are never as weak as they look, and their fight was just beginning. Night fell over the alien city. Dark clouds covered the stars. The wind carried the smell of metal and dust. In the prison block, the humans sat quietly in their cages, but their minds were loud with questions. Who was Lena? How could one small human girl defeat two alien champions and the Warlord's son? Some thought she had special training. Others believed she was something more, something not human at all. In her cell, Lena sat with her back against the cold wall. Her shoulder ached from the blade wound. Her hands were swollen from punching hard scales and armor. Blood dried on her torn clothes, but her eyes stayed sharp, focused. Her mind replayed the fights. Every move, every mistake, every weakness she noticed in her enemies. Flashback Earth, 2 years ago, before the alien ships came. Before the war, Lena lived in the slums of old Earth. Her city was broken, buildings were half fallen, streets were ruled by gangs. Every day was survival. Food was scarce, water was dirty, trusting people was dangerous. Lena learned to fight when she was 10. Not for sport, not for honor, but to eat, to live. She fought grown men twice her size in illegal street fights. No weapons, no rules. She learned where to hit, how to break bones, how to read body language. One wrong move, and she would die. By the time she was 16, she had broken more than a dozen arms, and just as many noses. Pain didn't scare her anymore. Death didn't scare her either. Only failure did. Back in the present, the alien prison, Lena opened her eyes, coming back to the now. She heard the sound of boots coming down the hall. A guard stopped at her cell. "Food," the alien growled, throwing a metal tray through the bars. Lena ignored it. Her body needed rest, but her mind stayed awake. From the next cell, the same boy from before and spoke again. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" he asked. For a moment, Lena stayed silent. Then she answered, her voice low. "Earth taught me." UN didn't understand at first. "Earth did this to you?" "No," Lena said. "Earth prepared me for this." In the alien command center, the Warlord stood with his advisors. "We need to understand how she fights like this," one commander said. "Weak muscles, soft skin, slow bone density. Her biology says she should be dead already." Another scientist showed reports on a screen. Her adrenaline levels are off the charts during fights. heart rate stable under extreme stress, bone structure stronger than expected for her size. The warlord gritted his teeth. "I don't care about science," he said. "I want results." Back in the cages, something strange started happening. Humans from other blocks started passing messages between cages. They whispered to each other about Lena. "She's not just fighting for herself," one man said. "She's fighting for all of us. She's showing us that they can bleed to hope." Something the humans hadn't felt in months started growing. Small, but real. That night Lena couldn't sleep. Her mind kept thinking of possible traps. Tomorrow, they wouldn't send normal fighters. They would send something worse. Maybe a monster. Maybe a group of assassins. She tightened the dirty cloth around her injured shoulder. No matter what came, she would face it, like she always had. Far away, deep, under the arena floor, a secret door opened. Inside, in a dark holding cell, sat a giant alien creature. 10 feet tall, 4 arms, black armor covering its body. Its eyes glowed red. This was not a soldier. This was a hunter-class executioner, a killer used only for special cases. The warlord stood in front of the cage. "Tomorrow," the warlord said, "you end her." The creature only smiled, its sharp teeth showing. In the morning, Lena stood in the arena once again. Her wounds were still fresh, her body tired, but her spirit unbroken. The gates opened, and the executioner stepped into the light. The alien crowd screamed with excitement. Finally, they believed the human girl would die, but Lena didn't flinch. She only looked at the monster and whispered to herself, "Another day, another fight, another bone to break." Her fists tightened, and the next deadly battle began. Arena filled once again. This time the mood was different. The crowd was louder than before, but not with laughter. There was tension in the air. Aliens from all over the city had come to see this fight. They wanted blood. They wanted the human girl dead. They wanted to see the warlord's pride restored. In the center of the arena stood Lena, breathing slow and steady. Her shoulder was still bandaged from the last fight. Her legs were bruised. Her knuckles were cracked and bleeding, but her eyes still sharp, still cold. Across from her stood the monster, the hunter class executioner. 10 feet tall, 4 muscular arms, 2 sharp blades on each wrist, black armored skin that looked like metal. The crowd cheered the executioner's name. Grak, Grak. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena speakers. Double quotes today. The human girl faces her death. The warlord's executioner will finish what others could not. Lena's heart beat faster. She had seen beasts like this before, but never this big, never this fast. She whispered to herself. "Stay calm, wait for the first move." The horn sounded. The executioner charged, faster than expected. Lena jumped to the side, but one of the blades cut across her ribs. Blood splattered on the ground, but crowd cheered. The executioner laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Lena winced in pain but stayed on her feet. The monster attacked again, swinging all 4 arms at once. Lena ducked, rolled, and grabbed a small, broken piece of metal from the ground. Her side burned with pain, but she pushed it away. The executioner charged again. Lena sprinted toward him instead of away. She slid under his legs, stabbing the sharp metal into the back of his knee joint. The beast roared in pain. The crowd gasped for a second. Lena had made him bleed. The executioner turned fast, grabbing her by the waist and slamming her into the arena wall. Dust filled the air. Lena's head spun. The crowd screamed in excitement, but as the dust cleared, she was still standing, her face bloody, breathing hard, but still alive. The warlord stood from his seat, his hands clenched in rage. "How is she still alive?" he growled. Back in the human cages, the prisoners watched with wide eyes. UN pressed his face against the bars. "She's still fighting," he whispered. Other humans started chanting her name. "Lena, Lena, Lena." Their voices grew louder with each passing second. Even the alien guards looked nervous. The sound of human voices rising in unity. It was something new, something dangerous. Back in the arena, the executioner attacked again, swinging one heavy fist. Lena jumped, climbing onto his arm like a ladder. Using his own size against him, she climbed to his shoulder and drove her elbow into the side of his neck. The executioner staggered. Lena jumped down, grabbed a loose chain from the ground, and wrapped it around his legs. Before the executioner could react, she pulled hard. The beast lost balance. It crashed to the ground with a thunderous boom. The arena shook. Dust rose again, and when it cleared, the crowd saw something that left them speechless. Lena stood on the executioner's chest, her foot pressed against his throat, holding the broken metal shard to his eye. The executioner, beaten silence fell across the arena. No one cheered, no one cheered, no one spoke. They only stared. The Warlord's executioner, defeated by one small, injured human girl. Up in the royal box, the Warlord's face turned dark with humiliation. He crushed the metal armrest of his seat with bare hands. He looked at his commanders. Enough, he shouted. Tomorrow I will deal with her myself. The commanders froze. You, my lord, one of them asked. The Warlord's voice was cold. Yes, this ends with me. That night, inside the human cages, the mood had changed. Hope was spreading like wildfire. Humans in every cell chanted Lena's name. For the first time since their capture, they believed escape was possible. Some guards left their posts early, too scared to stay. In her cell, Lena sat with her back to the wall, body shaking from exhaustion. Her wounds bleeding again, but a small smile appeared on her lips. She had humiliated the Warlord in front of the entire empire. Tomorrow, she knew, would be the biggest fight of her life, but she wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Far away in the Warlord's private armory, the Warlord stood, wearing his battle armor, black plates, red markings. His giant war axe rested on his shoulder. He looked at his reflection in the mirror and whispered, "Tomorrow, the human girl dies by my hand."